Hello guys, so today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to build animated React alert. So in today's tutorial we're going to be using these two libraries, Framer Motion and React Icons. So the Framer Motion is going to be used for the animation and the React Icons is going to use for the icons. So here is what we are going to build. I'm going to get these icons from React Icons, and the animation is gonna come from React Framer Motion. So first of all, I'm gonna go to my terminal and create React app. So I'm gonna type npm create React app. So the name of this React application or project is gonna be React Alert. So I'm gonna give a few minutes to install all the required files before we can continue. Okay, so now that I am done creating the project, I'm gonna go ahead and open my VS Code by typing code dot. So code period is gonna help me open my VS Code, but now I want to open my VS Code in the same directory, and I want to open the project that I just created. So I'm gonna close this and go back to my terminal and type cd React alert. So this is gonna help me to navigate into the folder that I just created. Then I'm gonna type code dot to open the VS Code inside the project that I just created right now. Alright, so this is the React app. I'm going to delete some of these things that I don't need right here. So I don't need the header element, so I'm gonna get rid of it, and I'm going to type hello world to know if the project is actually working. So I'm gonna go ahead and run my React app right now with npm start. Alright, so this shows that my application is running, and I'm not gonna go ahead and install these libraries, Framer Motion and React Icons. So I'm gonna go back to my VS Code, and I'm going to stop my project from running. Type npm I and the name of the libraries that I want to install. So I want to install Framer Motion and React Icons. So Framer Motion and React Icons. So I'm gonna give these few minutes to install too. Installing the libraries, I'm going to get rid of this line of code and create a components folder. So inside the components folder, I'm going to have all my components. So I'm going to create a folder for the alert components. So inside the alert folder, I'm going to create a file, alert.js, and also alert.css. So alert.css is going to be used to style the alert.js file. So I'm going to create a React convention for creating a component, and the name of the component is going to be an alert. So I'm also using React JavaScript arrow functions. So I'm going to return hello world because I would like to test this to know if it's actually running. So I'm also going to export this component so that it's going to be accessible by other components. So in my app.js, I'm going to import it, and I'm going to render it right here. So now I'm going to start my project to see how it is going to render on the page. This might take few minutes to start. Okay, so this is what I have on the page. So it's time for me to style it, and I need to go back to my CSS and give this a background color of red. So for this CSS file to work, I need to import it into my component. So now the CSS file is working, but now I also need to style it using these colors that I have right here. So on this, I have the green background, but it has a very light green background, and also this circular shape with the icon on the inside of it. Okay, so to get these icons, I need to go to React Icons website, because I've already installed the library, and I'm going to look for these icons right here. Alright, so I'm going to look for this icon. This is for the close. I can type close in the search bar and see what it's gonna give me. Alright, so I've seen a couple of options right here, so I think I'm gonna go with this one. So when I click on the icon, it is copied to my clipboard, so I need to paste it in my React app for it to show up. So I need to go back to my CSS and change and remove the background color. So inside here, I'm going to give this a class name of alert container. So it's actually gonna be containing the icon, the text, and also the close icon. So I'm gonna create another icon here. It's gonna be alert icon container, alert container for the icon. This is gonna be for the test. Successfully performed task. And this is going to be for the close icon. So this is where I'm going to paste the close icon. So first of all, I'm going to import the close icon from React Icons. So this is what I copied from the website. I'm gonna paste it here, and I'm going to import these from the React Icons library. So take note of the first two letter. So the first two letter right here is GR. So I'm going to type React Icon stroke GR. So this is where I'm going to paste the React icon. And now I also need to get this one right here. So going back to the React Icons website, I need to search for check. So the couple of options I have, I think I'm gonna go with this. So I'm going to paste it into this. I'm also going to import BS check from React Icons BS. So looking at the web page, this is what I have. So first of all, I'm going to change this to a flex box. So when I change it to a flex box, the items are going to be stacked horizontally. So I'm gonna give it a border so that you can see what I'm working with. Black. So here is the stuff that I'm working with, and I want the width to be maximum content. I also want it to have um, display flex. Justify items is gonna be justify content is gonna be space between. So when I type justify content space between, it's going to place the items horizontally. So I'm also gonna add a gap between the items like we have here. There's a gap between these and these. So gap could be 30 pixel, and align items is going to be center. I also need to add a padding. Padding inline means padding left and padding right. So padding inline is going to be 20 pixel. Padding block means padding top and padding bottom is going to be 10 pixel. So I want to see how it's gonna look like. Okay, so I might just give this a margin top of 10 pixel, margin right of 100 pixel, margin left I mean. So I'll still give this a border radius of 10 pixel. And I'm going to give it a background color. So going to go up here and get the background color. Yeah, so I'm also gonna change the color of this icon. So to do that, I'm going to get the class name of the container of the icon, which is alert container icon. I'm also gonna remove this border from the container. So I'm gonna remove this border. I'm going to add it to alert container icon. So here I have this, and I'm going to add padding to it. Padding is going to be 10 pixel. I'll make it 8. And I'm also going to increase the font size a little bit, so 1.2 rem. I'm going to give it a border radius of 50%. So border radius of 50% is going to make the container to be circular in shape. So this is not really circular. So to get this to be in a very perfect circular shape, we need to make the container a flex box. We also need to give it a justify content of center, analyze content of center, justify content of center, align items is going to be center. So now I need to give this a background color of green. And I need to give it a color of white. Now I need to remove the border, and I have something similar to what I have on the page. I might just reduce the padding block on the alert container to probably 8 pixel. Padding block to 8 pixel, and I think this is close. So now I need to bring this to the center. Alright, so to make this item display in the center of the screen, I'm gonna go ahead and remove these paddings right here. Then I'm gonna give it a margin of 0 auto. Now this is gonna make it display on the screen, but I need some margin at the top. I'm gonna just give it margin top, maybe 70 pixel, 0, then auto. Alright, so now I want this to be displayed on the screen with some animations. So I'm gonna go to my alert.js and import frame of motion, and also import animate presence from the frame of motion library. Then I'm going to wrap my JSS with the animate presence. Then after that, I'm going to add motion to the div. This is because for this to work, for motion to work in our JSS, you have to add it to the name of the element that is wrapping the component that you want to animate. So another thing is, when I add this motion.div to this element, it is going to give me access to some of the attributes of the motion property. So the first attribute I get is the initial. So the initial will tell me how do I want to animate this. So initially I want this to have, on the vertical axis, I want this to be minus 200 pixel. When you're typing it, you don't type pixel, you just type the figure. Then another thing is, I want the opacity to be 0. Alright, so another property I get is the animate property. The animate property, I want the y to be back to the original position, which is this. So I'm gonna give it y of 0, opacity of 1. So I'm gonna go ahead and refresh this and see. We get that. So I'm still gonna give it an exit property. So this is the animation that is gonna take place when we click this button to exit. So y is going to be minus 200, opacity is going to be 0. So now I have to render this property. I have to render this component conditionally. To do that, I'm going to create a variable called show alert, set show alert, using the state hook, use state hook. So when this show alert is enabled, I want to show this on the screen. So as you can see, the component has been taken out of the screen because the show alert is false. So I'm going to create a use state function, and also I'm going to use the use effect to enable this after 3 seconds. So to do that, I'm going to import the use effect. The first parameter that it takes in is a function, and the second parameter is a dependency array. So I'm also going to use the set timeout API right here. So this is going to run a function after 3 seconds, and what it's going to do is to enable this after 3 seconds. So I'm going to create a cleanup variable. Alright, so when I refresh the page, as you can see, this this component is displayed on the page after 3 seconds. Now I should find a way to disable it. The only way to do that is to add this function, to add a close function to this button, so that when it's clicked, the show alert variable is disabled. So when I refresh the page again, it's gonna display after 2 seconds. So when I click this, oh, there could be an issue somewhere. So set show alert. So this should be set show alert. So I'm gonna refresh the page again and click it. See, so it's removed from the page with animation. So I can also give this a kind of bouncy effect. So to do that, I'm just going to add stiffness to I'm going to give this a transition. So the transition variable is going to help us enable the duration of this animation, and also give a stiffness. So the stiffness is going to give it a bouncy effect. So duration, I want this animation to last probably half a second. Then I also want stiffness to be like maybe 240. Whoa, no, so that is too slow. I might just give it 3. Then I'm gonna give the type is gonna be spring. So spring is gonna make it have that springy bouncy effect. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, you see. So I think that's the end of our today's tutorial.